Hello, welcome to the China Technology Channel. Today's topic is the beginning of the German-US breakup. German railroads vandalized. Recently, 2 weeks after the explosion of the Nord Stream gas pipeline, the Crimea bridge also exploded. This was followed by vandalism of German railroads. Apparently, the US is behind this sabotage again. The latest news shows that the railroad bridge of the Crimean Bridge has been restored to traffic. Russian President Vladimir Putin has signed an order on the 8th, authorizing the Russian Federal Security Service to strengthen the protection of the Crimean Bridge and other facilities, German railroads, although traffic has been partially restored, but trains will continue to be cancelled and delayed. At present, the German police have launched an investigation into the incident. It is understood that all rail traffic in northern Germany was disrupted for nearly 3 hours on the morning of the 8th, local time, because the rail network's vital cables were deliberately cut in 2 places. A large number of passengers were stranded at the train station that morning. The reason initially given by Deutsche Bahn was a malfunction of the digital train radio system. German weekly magazine Spiegel said that the communication system was shut down at about 6:40 a.m. local time. At 11:06 a.m. local time, Deutsche Bahn tweeted that traffic had partially resumed, but warned that trains would continue to be cancelled and delayed. The train disruptions affected rail services in Saxony, Schleswig-Holstein, Bremen and Hamburg and, by association, international rail traffic to Denmark and the Netherlands. Later, German Transport Minister Volker Wissing said at a press conference that it was a malicious and targeted act of sabotage, while German Interior Minister Nancy Faeser said that the motive for the sabotage was not yet clear. German police have now launched an investigation into the incident. The attack comes just over 2 weeks after a devastating attack on the Nord Stream 1 and Nord Stream 2 gas pipelines linking Russia and Germany, sparking debate in Germany over the safety of the infrastructure. Reuters, citing a source who asked not to be named, said the targeted attacks sent alarm bells ringing in Germany immediately after NATO and the European Union last month stressed the need to protect critical infrastructure. The Russia-Ukraine conflict is really the biggest black swan event of the century. Russia, which was supposed to be sanctioned by the West for economic collapse, battlefield defeat and domestic chaos, has not happened at all. Some countries in the West have sensed a sense of crisis, and Germany is one of them. The recent spate of events, apparently aimed at Russia, has suddenly made Germany realize that it is not so. 3 things show that Germany is isolated. The first is the European political community. The European political community was initiated by French President Emmanuel Macron and includes the 27 member states of the European Union and other European countries such as the United Kingdom, Norway, and Turkey. The first summit of the leaders of the European political community was held in Prague, the capital of the Czech Republic, on the 6th of local time, in which German Chancellor Scholz was isolated and Germany's leadership in the EU was weakened. Scholz was isolated and embarrassed. In the previous period, the German federal government proposed to invest 200 billion euros in order to achieve the goal of reducing domestic energy prices in Germany. Since its announcement, the plan has been strongly opposed by many EU countries during the European Political Community meeting. Latvian Prime Minister Karen said, "Not all EU member states have the budgetary capacity to provide such assistance. In the face of the energy crisis, the EU economic volume of Germany should assume more responsibility." Polish Prime Minister Morawiecki and Estonian Prime Minister Kallas also said that the German government's energy plan undermines the EU's single market and that the EU's energy policy should not be dictated by one family. The Polish Prime Minister believes that Germany has broken the rules of the EU's single market, and Germany has done a little selfishly. The second, Germany was calculated by the United States. Recently, German Deputy Chancellor and Minister of Economy Habeck publicly complained that the gas sold to Germany by the United States is 7 times more expensive than before, which is not like what a close ally should do. Not only that, the Nord Stream pipeline was bombed, Germany's biggest loss. As the main investor in the Nord Stream pipeline, Germany was not taken seriously by Denmark, Sweden and the United States, and the relevant investigation did not involve Germany. Obviously, there are some things that do not want the Germans to know. Germany's energy lifeline is so destroyed. Germany is helpless and can only complain while continuing to buy high-priced natural gas from the US. Germany's losses are huge. Thirdly, it is becoming more and more politically passive. Recently, the Polish Foreign Ministry formally notified the German Federal Foreign Office, asking Germany to compensate for the losses caused to Poland during World War II, amounting to $1.3 trillion, which is equivalent to about one-third of Germany's annual GDP. Once again, Poland has embarrassed Germany. Not only did Poland demand compensation from Germany, but the Greek foreign minister also said after visiting Poland that Germany should compensate the Greek people for the damage caused to them during World War I and World War II. Germany invaded almost all European countries in World War I and World War II, and once this is opened, then Germany will never have peace and lose all its money. The manipulator behind the recent chain of events that have befallen Germany is definitely the United States. The United States wants to use the Russian-Ukrainian conflict and energy problems to suppress Germany, support Poland, and finally the United States out of mediation. Germany and other European countries must be grateful. The United States can better control the whole of Europe. And the current Germany has reacted. The German government has started a dialogue with Russia aimed at resolving the existing conflict between the two countries and avoiding a social catastrophe in Germany and the EU. To achieve this goal, it is necessary to reopen the Nord Stream 1 and 2 pipelines and restore the necessary gas supplies as soon as possible to keep industrial production running. Thousands of demonstrators, organized by the opposition Alternative for Germany party, gathered outside the Parliament building in Berlin on October 8 to express their dissatisfaction with the government's energy policy and call on the federal government to lift sanctions against Russia. According to RIA Novosti, the Alternative for Germany announced in September that it would organize demonstrations to express its dissatisfaction with soaring food and energy prices in the country and demand that the government lift economic sanctions against Russia and allow the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, which carries Russian gas to Europe, to be put into operation. The first round of demonstrations were held in Magdeburg and Leipzig in late September and earlier this month, respectively. DPA reported that some people waved German and Russian flags, while others held placards with the words "I want Russian gas and oil and silence today, freeze tomorrow." The demonstrators blamed the policies of the ruling coalition of the Social Democrats, the Greens and the Free Democrats for soaring prices and inadequate social security measures to ease the burden on the population, and called on the government to lift sanctions against Russia. The European Union joined the United States in imposing several rounds of sanctions on Russia after Russia launched a special military operation, but the backlash of sanctions has left EU countries in a difficult position and people overwhelmed. Due to the sharp decline in the supply of Russian gas, some EU countries had to introduce measures to deal with soaring gas prices. The EU announced the 8th round of sanctions against Russia on June 6. Hungarian Prime Minister Orbán Viktor called on the EU to change its strategy, saying that sanctions against Russia have failed to achieve the desired effect and that Europe is slowly bleeding and dying under the massive energy crisis. Estonian Prime Minister Kaja Kallas said in an interview published in the British newspaper Daily Telegraph on August 8 that it is increasingly difficult for EU countries to agree on new sanctions against Russia and there are few elements left that we can sanction. Germany does not want to continue to worsen relations with Russia. It must be said that Germany's attitude toward Russia has changed at this stage. Even former German Chancellor Angela Merkel has come out twice in a week to shout at the EU, and the latest appeal has pointed out the crux of Europe's current problems. According to The Observer on October 7, former German Chancellor Angela Merkel attended the 77th anniversary of the founding of the Süddeutsche Zeitung on October 6, local time. Merkel said that only with Russia's participation can Europe achieve lasting peace. This also reflects from the side the EU sanctions against Russia is on a wrong path. After all, Merkel's rare two appearances after retirement is enough to show the seriousness of the situation.